If we put data centers everywhere that there's food, there's no more food. There's no discussion of this. It's over with. There's nothing, no water to drink, no food to eat, nowhere to for us to even live, because these things take up our safety, our lives, our land. So
that is simply not true. You have things you can do in the county if you're willing to do. What a Texas County can do legally today. Under Chapter 232, the Texas Local Government Code can regulate subdivision plats, roads, drainage, infrastructure standards, easements, related development. This currently
fence line to the north. So I've got this massive data center building coming on the north side of me, and I've got a solar panel farm on the west side of me, and I left the city for a reason, okay?
That said, I am a developer out of Ellis County. I'm a neighbor. I own property in Hill County. I own property that I am trying to develop a data center location on in Hill County. And I also own agriculture and recreational hunting property in Hill County. So I want to say I'm not going to be your typical developer that's standing here in front of you. I'm going to have a few things that are going to sound like the party line, but
BZ Watchdog News Network.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
there you go.
All right. I'm starting my time. These are great sales pitches from all these developers, because I haven't heard anybody else go for it. But I've got something really prepared for this. I want you guys all to stare at those data center guys. Let me ask everybody the simple question. Has anyone ever heard of Erin Brockovich? Yes. Now, I know it was a movie, but it was based on a true story. A small town was being poisoned, families were getting sick, people were dying. And for a long time, the people in power acted like something was fine until somebody started digging, asking questions, and exposing what was really going on. That is exactly what Hill County needs to think about before anybody in this courthouse starts rolling out the red carpet for data centers. Because once the water is gone, once the land is damaged, once the noise is permanent, once the power grid is stressed, and once the people who made the deal are long gone, the citizens are the ones stuck living the consequences. And let me be clear. I have not heard the citizens of Hill County begging for data centers. I have not heard the people standing up and saying, please bring massive industrial projects to consume water, strain infrastructure, and change our rural way of life. What I have heard is concern. I've heard opposition. I've heard people asking why this is being pushed so hard when the public clearly does not want it. You were elected by the people to represent the people, not private developers, not EDC insiders, not special interests, and not backroom projects with cute little code names. You took an oath to the Constitution and to the people. That oath matters. The First Amendment protects our right to speak, our right to assemble, our right to petition government for our grievances, and our right to hold public officials accountable. The founders did not create the First Amendment so government could hide controversial projects behind closed doors, vague agendas, and economic development buzzwords. And the Second Amendment also exists because the founders understood that liberty must be protected from a government that forgets who it serves. I am not here calling for violence. I am calling for accountability. But history is very clear. When government stops listening to the people have every right to organize, speak out, challenge, investigate, vote officials out, and defend their freedoms through lawful means. Now let's talk about the Hillsboro EDC. The Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation was created as a regional government-style entity in 2020 under former Hillsboro Mayor Andy Smith. From what I've reviewed, it created a structure with appointed members from the city of Hillsboro, elected officials connected to the county, and involvement from Hill College. And here's where the public should start paying very close attention. County Attorney David Holmes admitted to me that if criminal complaints were filed regarding certain EDC matters, he would have to recuse himself because he sits on that board and participates in closed sessions. So I kept digging, and I found that County Judge Shane Brassell is also connected to that board. Hill College also had involvement with the Cleburne EDC. And when we saw Jessica True, Ada Motherspaugh, and Art Mann showing up around closed session discussions, it raised even more questions. In my opinion, this looks like coordination. It looks like local government, economic development insiders, and connected individuals are working together to bring data centers into Hill County, whether the public wants them or not. And it brings up the obvious question, why? Why would public officials push something this controversial when the citizens do not want it? Who benefits? Because the public needs to understand something. These projects do not happen in a vacuum. Landowners benefit. Nearby property owners can benefit. Developers benefit. Political insiders can benefit. Businesses connected to the land can benefit. When proposed data center areas sit near properties connected to powerful local families, EDC members, political figures, and business interests, the public has every right to ask questions. If Will Orr's family business is located near one of these areas, if Gwen Orr, Will Orr, or Angelina Orr could benefit, the public deserves transparency. If Natasha Sawyer through Arnott Holdings or other nearby property interests could benefit while also serving as the president of the EDC, the public deserves transparency. If local political power brokers are involved, the public deserves transparency. And when the county Republican chair is tied to this political structure and Judge Brassell is pushing this issue hard, people are going to ask whether it is about public interest or political obedience. That is not an attack. This is accountability. Because when officials are pushing something the people do not want, the citizens are allowed to ask who is really giving the orders. Now let's talk about money. Many of these so-called data centers across the country are not just innocent little computer warehouses. Some are tied to cryptocurrency mining. Crypto mining is energy hungry, water hungry, and often shielded behind complicated ownership structures. So yes, the people are going to ask hard questions. Are any official board members, developers, consultants, landowners, or connected insiders receiving any direct or indirect benefit from these projects? I'm about to go over my time. Does anybody want to concede to their time? I've only got about a minute left.
I don't have anybody else signed up, Mr. Zinger. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
You muted it.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I don't have anybody else signed up for open forum, Mr. Zinger. So I have Kelby Long. Kelby Long, you were indicating you would like to cede your time to Mr. Zinger.
Yeah, he can take it.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Back to where I was in this. So yes, the people are going to ask hard questions. Are any officials, board members, developers, consultants, landowners, or connected insiders receiving any benefit or direct benefits from these projects? Are there financial interests that have not been disclosed? Are there land deals, options, consulting arrangements, crypto-related payments, or future development benefits the public has not been told about? Because if this commissioner's court is even thinking about approving, supporting, assisting, or enabling data centers in Hill County, then the answer should be simple. Full disclosure, strict regulations, environmental protections, water protections, noise limits, infrastructure guarantees, independent impact studies, no tax giveaways without public approval, no backroom negotiations, no vague agendas, no secret code names. And if these companies want to come here, then they need to pay up front. Just like the man in the cowboy hat said, not promises, not economic development fairy tales, not future projections, real money, real guarantees, and real protections before they touch 1 acre of Hill County land. Because the citizens should not be forced to subsidize their profits, risk our water, strain our grid, and sacrifice our rural communities so a handful of insiders can clap themselves on the back and call it progress. Hill County does not need to become the next Erin Brockovich story. We do not need to wait until people are sick, wells are impacted, land values are damaged, or the public realizes too late that the deal was already done before they ever had a voice. So I'm asking this court today, stop pushing data centers behind the scenes, disclose every connection, disclose every board relationship, disclose every land interest, disclose every meeting, disclose every communication, and most importantly, listen to the people, because you were elected to represent Hill County, not the EDC, not the developers, not political insiders, not data center companies, and Hill County belongs to the citizens, and we are watching. And I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
tyranny, corruption, extortion. Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
BZ Watchdog News Network.